everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. It's good to have you here. I'm Ashleigh Banfield, and this is my show. I gotta be honest with you. I remember back in the 80s, because I've been around, when Susan Smith said, "My babies, help me find my babies." I remember feeling terrible for her. I remember being so sad for that woman till I wasn't. And I felt a little bad in between. Like, should I believe her? She sure looks like something's missing. I kind of smell a rat, but I sure feel bad, because if someone really did take her babies, then I should feel bad. Well, here we are, 30 some odd years later, and I kind of am getting the same vibe. Because there's this lady in California who says that baby's missing. That little baby Emmanuel's been kidnapped. She says she got bonked over the back of the head at a grocery store parking lot, a Big Five sports store, and when she came to, that baby was gone. But there's just a lot of stuff that's not going well. Like that husband of hers right there, bad history with kids. And some weird, body language. And then there are the cops who are like, yeah, we're not so sure. I'm going to tell you the whole story and a few things that have cropped up in just the last 48 hours that make this story even more suspicious. Also tonight, Wendy Williams. What is happening with Wendy? Reports coming out that her diagnosis says you're still under guardianship and nothing's going to change. Very upsetting for Wendy. Clearly devastating. She's been fighting this guardianship for years. But her lawyer is on the air with me tonight, and he says it is all BS. So where is this report? Who actually leaked this report? Why would they leak something that isn't true? He's got answers. You're going to hear him. And then also, I want to show you a picture of this young lady who got arrested and had a mugshot. That is one happy lady, right? Why is she smiling? Madison County Detention Center shows her a little over 5 feet, but she's got about 10 feet of pride in the stuff that she did. Let me just give you a hint. It has to do with a gas tank and a car and an ex-boyfriend, and there is glitter involved. So all that just ahead. Don't go anywhere. Let me start here, though. When a child goes missing, investigators always take a very close look at the parents. It is SOP. Standard operating procedure. But in the case of baby Emmanuel Haro, it was the internet that started doing that first, scrutinizing the hell out of the parents of that baby. Mom and dad were labeled suspicious online as soon as they made this desperate plea on television for their child's safe return. People online weren't buying it. They said something ain't right. First of all, she's speaking in past tense. Why is that? And now, on top of all the suspicion on the internet, police have come forward to say foul play may be afoot and that these parents have stopped cooperating with the police. Let me break for a hot minute, because most of us say if our children were missing, we wouldn't stop talking to the police. We would say, fine, arrest me, do whatever, just find my kid, I'll tell you anything you need to know. But they have invoked their Fifth Amendment right. They have asked for a lawyer to be present. They apparently, according to police, have stopped cooperating. A little background. For 5 days, a frantic search has been underway in Southern California for 7-month-old baby Emmanuel. He vanished from a strip mall parking lot in Yucaipa, about an hour east of Los Angeles. His mom is Rebecca Haro. She says it happened around 7 o'clock in the evening on Thursday, August 14th. She told police that she left her other stepson's football game and then drove to a Big Five sporting goods store so that she could buy that football player stepson a mouthguard for his football game. And she left the rest of the family at the football game. But she says she brought little baby Emmanuel with her because he's 7 months. According to Rebecca Haro, she decided to change his diaper in the car before going into the store. But she says as soon as she laid that baby down, a stranger approached her from behind, said one word, "Hola," before striking her in the head. She claims that when she came to, she was on the ground and baby Emmanuel was gone. Kidnapped, she says. She says she frantically searched around the car before running into the store, calling out the baby's name. He's 7 months old. He'll probably not answer. And then asking the staff if they'd seen him. And it was after that she said she dialed 911. And the deputies from the San Bernadino County Sheriff's Office rushed to the scene, dispatching helicopters and canine scent tracking dogs, canvassing the entire neighborhood, but there was like nothing. No sign of baby Emmanuel anywhere. Sadly, they found that the Big Five store had no surveillance cameras in the parking lot. Weird, I know. So basically, police have no description to go on. Nothing about this alleged kidnapper, as Rebecca said that she couldn't remember what he looked like. So without any of that information, not even the details of what this kidnapper got away in, a car, a bike, a moped, a skateboard, what direction, with none of that information, they did not issue an Amber Alert. Newsflash, you need a car and a license plate in order to have an Amber Alert issued. So instead, the police released the flyers. And they described baby Emmanuel as having brown hair, brown eyes, and last seen wearing a black Nike onesie. The next day, Rebecca and Emmanuel's father, Jake Haro, went on local TV begging for their baby's return.
I woke up right here on the floor, and I didn't see Emmanuel. And I searched around the truck, and I didn't see him. I ran to Big Five and asked the lady if she saw anything or someone with a baby or heard anything. She said no. I called 911. I ran across Big Five searching for my son. I didn't hear nothing. No, he's gone. I can't find him. If you know anything, please come and bring my son back. Please, I'm begging you. If anyone knows anything.
What do you think happened?
I don't know.
So, and you have a blue eye.
I know. Like I said, I was about to change my son, and someone just approached me, said, "Hola," and I didn't see anything, and I woke up on the floor.
Were you punched, or was that
I was
from the
punched.
fall?
I was punched, and I woke up right there.
Did they take your purse or any of
Nothing, just my baby boy.
It's your baby.
It's my son, Emmanuel.
What is your message to the public?
If you know anything, please come forward, or take him to the cops, or please let us know anything, please. Any little detail helps. The cops are doing their best they can to help us as well. There's no cameras here, so we can't find anything. There's no footage. I'm sorry, I'm just so distraught right now.
Whoever took my son, please return him. We just want him back. We won't do anything to you. We just give us our son. Just keep him safe. Don't hurt him. Make sure you feed him, change him. Please, we beg you in the name of God. You know, we never felt, unsafe in Yucaipa. We've been in this city for a few years in the football program. We've never had any issues here. We've never had any issues with anybody. We don't have any enemies that I know of.
So you would think that there'd be a lot of sympathy for a couple of parents like that, right? But instead of sympathy, those interviews ignited a lot of scrutiny. People online calling their behavior off, calling it insincere, asking where are the tears. In one of the interviews, she mentioned Emmanuel in past tense. Then on Saturday, August 16th, that's 2 days later, the investigation escalated. The Haro's home was searched by police and cadaver dogs. Investigators also reportedly dug up parts of the Haro's property. And later that day, the San Bernadino Police Department said Rebecca and Jake Haro were no longer cooperating with the authorities. They released a statement that reads, in part, investigators interviewed multiple individuals, including Emmanuel's parents, Jake and Rebecca. During those interviews, Rebecca was confronted with inconsistencies in her initial statement and declined to continue with the interview. At this point in the investigation, Investigators are unable to rule out foul play in the disappearance of Emmanuel. And since then, a couple more red flags have seemed to surface. Emmanuel's grandmother says that detectives questioned Rebecca and asked her to take a lie detector test, but that Jake, her husband, reportedly refused to allow her to do that without a lawyer present. Jake's criminal record also surfaced too. It's not good, not in light of this story. Felony conviction for child cruelty. Let me repeat that. A felony conviction for child cruelty. That stemmed from a 2018 case. He ultimately served time in jail, 6 months, in fact. That was in 2023. And then tonight, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department tells us that Jake's vehicle has been collected for evidence processing. A missing children's organization that was offering a $5,000 reward has pulled out of this case, saying, quote, something is not right in this whole picture, end quote. We should note that as of now, police have not arrested, nor have they charged Jake or Rebecca with any crime. We're going to speak with Jake Haro's attorney in just a moment. But right now, I'm joined by Annie Elise. She's the host of the podcast Seriously with Annie Elise. She's been following this story since it broke, and she's been breaking a lot of news on it, too. So Annie, it's great to have you back, and thank you for being on the show. What exactly was it about the interview, other than those few select things that I mentioned, that kind of set everybody on a course to go after these parents and call them liars?
Well, I think anytime a parent's interview comes out, it's so easy for the public and the true crime community to automatically make parallels with the infamous Chris Watts interview. But there were some interesting things here. As you mentioned, not only were there mentions of Emmanuel in past tense, but no matter how their voice was breaking, there was not a single tear squeezed out, not by Rebecca and not by Jake. And it almost came across as performative, as though they were trying to force their voice to break and force themselves to seem sad. And what was really interesting, too, about Jake's interview is he seems very distraught and having a difficult time conveying the words. But then the moment he starts talking about Yucaipa and how they've had a past history with football there and the city, he immediately just even-keeled, total normal tone of voice as though nothing happened, where usually when we have seen parents who are truly distraught and grief-stricken and fearful, that tone carries through the entire interview. So it just felt a little off-putting and performative.
So talk to me a little bit about Jake's, past, his criminal record, and in particular, an ex-wife named Vanessa, who told police that she had been trying to nurse their 10-week-old baby, but that something was wrong with that baby, took that baby to the hospital, and what happened then?
So this incident happened back in October of 2018, and there's conflicting reports as to what exactly happened. Vanessa claims one version, and then Jake claims another. But the gist of it is that, to your point, the baby was not nursing. Then later that evening, she asked Jake to feel the baby's back, to which when he did, according to the affidavit, this is their word, not mine, he felt a crackle. So she brought the baby to the hospital, and I want to read this directly because the officer writing the affidavit said that the doctors at the Loma Linda University Medical Center said that the baby had, quote, acute fractured rib, healing fractures of 6 ribs, a skull fracture, a brain hemorrhage, swelling of the neck, and a healing fractured leg bone. And what's very interesting about this, too, is later when Jake returned home from the hospital, allegedly his sister had opened up his iPad and the recent browser tab, and there was a search for how to feed a baby with broken ribs, a search that took place before they even went to the hospital. Now, Jake says he wasn't the one to make that search, but that coupled with everything else in this incident, it's pretty alarming.
All right, I want to play something. Earlier today, a Yucaipa resident named Heather Walker, apparently she attended the vigil for Emmanuel on Sunday, and she said she spoke to some Big Five employees at that vigil. And my colleague Elizabeth Vargas spoke with Heather Walker and asked her if the employees said anything about Rebecca or the baby on the day of the kidnapping? And this is the answer.
From what they told me, nobody saw the baby.
They saw her, but not the baby, because that's what we've heard about people who were at the football game that she had been at previously. She said she had left the football game to go buy her other son a mouth guard that he needed to play. That's why she was at the store, she said. But nobody at that football game saw the baby either.
No.
That's troubling. And there's a lot of talk about Rebecca's black eye, Annie. What do you make of what's being said about, she pointed, I got hit towards the side of the black eye.
Almost immediately, once that interview footage came out, people were skeptical about the black eye, saying that it looked as though it was in the various stages of healing. It wasn't a fresh black eye. And there have been some eyewitnesses out there who have said that she allegedly was spotted with this black eye as early as August 3rd. There also have been some Big Five employees on social media speaking out in addition to the behavior from the alleged day of the kidnapping, saying that Rebecca had gone to the Big Five the night before, asked the cashiers if they had CCTV footage of the parking lot because the week prior her car had been broken into. Now that's all alleged at this point. That's according to some of the employees, but that seems very interesting too, that possibly she was trying to suss out the situation before they had their grand master plan the following day.
Very troubling, and I'll bet you that the police have been looking into it, and they're not telling us about it, but if they have been asking those same questions, they will have those answers in the file. Annie Elise, good to have you. Thank you so much for this.
Thanks for having me.
I'm joined now by Vincent Hughes. He's an attorney who has represented Jake Haro in past cases and is speaking on Jake's behalf today. Hey, Vincent, thank you for doing this today. Big question. Why have Rebecca and Jake stopped cooperating with the police if they're desperate to find the baby and the police are looking for the baby?
I don't know where the statement that they stopped cooperating came from, Ashleigh. I spoke to the detectives yesterday, offered for Jake to continue to speak with them, have not been made aware of any requests today to speak with Jake. I don't represent Rebecca. That needs to be very clear, but I have not been asked to produce Jake. I offered to produce Jake. They voluntarily turned over all of their electronic devices, including the passwords. I think that's something that's huge that nobody has been made aware of.
Let me just stop you for 1 second. I don't want to interrupt you, but you just said you don't know where the statement came from, Mr. Hughes. I'm going to read you the statement the police sent to us. Investigators interviewed multiple individuals, including Emmanuel's parents, Jake and Rebecca Haro. During those interviews, Rebecca was confronted with inconsistencies in her initial statement and declined to continue with the interview. So the statement came from the police themselves.
And I can't speak to the statement that was sent to you. I can tell you, I have personal knowledge. I reached out to the assigned detective and made Jake available. Jake wants to cooperate. Jake doesn't like the fact that nobody's listening. Court of public opinion is already out. Even yourself, it sounds like you guys already have your mind made up. Jake has voluntarily provided the electronic devices that there was a search warrant for, including the passwords. The vehicle that you were saying is breaking news that you brought up at the beginning of this broadcast is not something that is new. They haven't had their vehicle since Thursday night when this alleged kidnapping happened. So it's not new that you're saying at the beginning of this broadcast that it's new information that the vehicle is gone and make it sound like they just took the vehicle today. The vehicle has been gone since Thursday.
Yeah, I haven't made my mind up, but I will say this. This is a case that is definitely different than most missing children cases I cover, and I've done this for 38 years. When the police send me out a statement saying that foul play is potentially afoot, and when we get reports that they brought cadaver dogs to the house, and that the parents aren't cooperating, then yeah, spidey senses go up. I was actually very concerned when Rebecca referred to Emmanuel in past tense as well. Are you aware of that?
I saw the video like anybody else. I can't speak for Rebecca. I can tell you that she doesn't have a master's degree, bachelor's degree, any other degree in public speaking. So I can't speak as to that. Same thing for Jake. The thing that I don't understand, and like you're saying, this isn't like a normal investigation. Why has the sheriff's department not even released a missing persons flyer? Let's put the onus on. There's not been one search party.
No, they did. They released the missing persons flyer. We showed it. Yeah, we're showing it right now on the air.
That's actually provided by mom and dad. Look at the phone numbers, Ashleigh. Let's be clear about that. Mom and dad
so
did
that's
that.
the parents'
that
one?
Has mom and dad's phone numbers.
Let me ask my control room. Let me ask my. I got you. Vincent, I got you. Let me ask my control room if they can also find a picture of the flyer that we were told by the police that they had released because they could not invoke an Amber Alert. Vincent Hughes, I know you know as an attorney, you can't issue an Amber Alert unless you have a vehicle and a license plate. Otherwise, there'd be Amber Alerts going off pretty much every 5 minutes of every day, and nobody would respond. So I'm just being told by my control room we don't have a picture of the police flyer, but the police told us they released a flyer. Can you tell me this? KTLA is reporting that the Haro's 2-year-old has been removed from the home. Is that true?
That's what everybody's stating. I mean, Mr. and Mrs. Haro have not been
he's your
alleged
client.
to have
Has your
committed a crime.
client told you? Do you know from your client if he's lost
He
his
doesn't have a
2-year-old
Yes,
child
he
from
told
the
me that
home?
he doesn't have that the child has been removed and law enforcement wanted them to produce the child. Yes, he did produce the child. As far as is the child in the home, no. Mr. Haro does not have his 2-year-old and is not being allowed access to his 2-year-old, even though no criminal filing has taken place. They had the children before this alleged incident with no criminal case filed. So I don't know what changed. There's nothing here that's been provided that they did anything unfoot to these children, the 2-year-old or 7-month-old baby Emmanuel. The reason I'm on this show, to be very clear, is they're begging for the public to help. They're begging for people to provide information. There was a missing tip that was not provided previously, or it was provided to law enforcement. Law enforcement did not provide it to anybody else. And until I started speaking with media this morning, now law enforcement acknowledges, oh yes, we were aware of that tip. Law enforcement is being very tight-lipped about the situation. That's what's concerning. No search parties have been organized. These parents don't have a vehicle. Like I said, they voluntarily gave up all of their devices after a search warrant was issued. They gave passwords and everything. How can they assist in this? Their home is in a very remote area, in an area where it's over 100 degrees during a heat wave. They have no reliable transportation. They don't have phones or internet to contact people because their devices have been taken. So how can they participate? Everyone's made their mind up and saying that they're refusing to do anything. They can't.
Hold on. I think that let's just jump in right there. How you asked the question, how can they assist in this? Well, they could assist by continuing to be cooperative with the police. That would be the #1 starter. Don't you believe that?
I'm telling you right now, Ashleigh, on national news, if the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department would like to speak with Jake Haro, we can make that happen tonight. I'm telling you that right now.
What about Rebecca?
Unequivocally. I don't represent Rebecca, so I can't make a statement for Rebecca.
Okay. Did Jake tell the police and Rebecca that she couldn't take a lie detector test?
I wasn't there. I can't confirm or deny that story. And in any event, I think most attorneys,
you don't know that from your client, though? You haven't spoken. Let me just ask you, because he said we need an attorney present, and the reporting is from the police is that Rebecca refused to take a lie detector test because Jake, her husband, said no unless there's an attorney present, and you are his attorney. Did he not discuss that with you?
He asked for his attorney to be present, from my understanding. As far as the lie detector test, no attorney in their right mind is going to say yes. Submit to something that's not admissible in court. You find a case where
admissible in
somebody
court, but if my child was missing, Mr. Hughes, I would take any test you asked me to. I would cooperate. You could lock me up for the rest of my life, and I would cooperate with the police.
I'm glad you said that, but it's easy to say something, and it's a different sort of walk in somebody's shoes. There is not a normal for how you handle these situations. It's easy for everybody to state what should be happening and what's normal, but there's various situations for what's normal. We have everything from how John Walsh handled the situation to how Casey Anthony handled the situation. What is normal?
Yeah, well, there is no blueprint, as you say. This is an alarming situation for everyone involved, and it is awful. I will say to you tonight, it is awful if they truly are victims of someone taking their baby and half the world believes, or maybe more than half the world believes, that there's something afoot with them. I can't imagine being in their shoes at all. Could you just confirm, because I'm not sure I'm 100% clear, Mr. Hughes, could you just confirm that their 2-year-old child has been taken from the home now?
The 2-year-old child is not at their home. I can confirm it.
Taken from their home by authorities?
Based on my understanding, that's a potential. I believe that the 2-year-old was removed, but I cannot tell you 100%. I can tell you the 2-year-old was not at home. It's troubling that there's no allegations and the 2-year-old was removed.
Well, Listen, there's more than allegations. Your client, has a rap sheet including child cruelty. So there are some reasons why they might have done that, and until they are thoroughly investigated to make sure every child is safe in that home. I really appreciate you being on. This is not an easy interview for you to do. This is an awful situation for everybody involved, and certainly for your client and his wife. It could go either way. I don't know if she's telling the truth, if he's telling the truth, and I don't know if they are horribly victimized in all of this. But Mr. Hughes, I do appreciate your time, and I appreciate your candor.
The only thing I'm asking, Ashleigh, this is one message Mr. Haro wanted me to make sure I get out. If anyone has any information, whatever your belief is about Mr. Haro or his family or anything like that, please provide that information to law enforcement. They're begging for the return of this child. They're begging for any information leading to Emmanuel's whereabouts. So if you have any information, please provide it. He's begging for that information. He feels like no one's listening to him. That's the key message from today. Not to debate his criminal record, not to debate anything else. He's begging that anyone provides any knowledgeable information to law enforcement. That's what we're asking. I really appreciate you for the platform to allow me to send out that message.
I appreciate that as well. And I'll just tell our viewers, you can call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children any hour of the day with information on baby Emmanuel Haro. Again, thank you so much, Vincent Hughes. I appreciate this.
Thank you. Have a good night.
We'll talk again soon, I hope. All right, coming up next, Wendy Williams has a question for you. She says, does this look like a woman with dementia? Look at me. A leaked medical report says yes, but Wendy Williams definitively says no. Her attorney, though, is saying hell no and wants to know who leaked that report. That's star attorney Joe Tacopina. Standing by live. He'll be with me next. 3 years and 2 months is a hell of a long time to be told that you can't make major decisions about your own life. Like, controlling your finances and your health care and your living arrangements and coming and going as you please, AKA your freedom. But that is what life has been like for Wendy Williams, who is telling everyone who will listen, including me, that it is time to end her court-ordered guardianship. The hold on her has been in place since May of 2022. When a court determined that she was unable to manage her personal and financial affairs due to a range of health issues, including frontotemporal dementia and aphasia. Wendy has publicly denied being cognitively impaired. But if some recent reports are true, she has just suffered a new setback. A leaked report suggests that a battery of medical and psychological tests showed that Wendy's earlier diagnosis of dementia was indeed accurate. And according to court documents, her guardianship will reportedly continue at least for another couple of months until early November. But there are questions about that, too, because people close to Wendy Williams say those leaked test results are 100% BS. They say somebody is trying to keep Wendy under control and faked a medical report to do so. Wendy was out on the town a couple days ago, and somebody caught her on camera asking her to comment on that leaked medical report. Take a look.
No, and my attorneys are highly upset.
They are?
Yes. I want to say hi to my attorneys, Alan Diamond, all right, and Joe.
Cool.
Joe Tacopina.
Cool.
Those are my attorneys, and I will get out of guardianship.
The aforementioned Joe Tacopina is live on the air with me now. Okay, Joe, good to have you on. First off, and I always want to know off the bat, how is she doing?
She's doing great. I mean, it's Ashleigh, I'm so perplexed by this. I'm not a guardianship attorney, I'm a trial lawyer, and I will get her through this. But I got to tell you, she's fine. I spoke to her tonight. She said, say hello to you, of course, loves you. I have these conversations with Wendy almost daily. And I will tell you that she is as in control of her faculties as anyone else I speak to on a daily basis. Look, she's been through a lot. She's had bouts with alcoholism. We know that. And that's sort of what spurred all this. But she is fine. She's like, aside from the fact that she doesn't have her liberties, her freedom, her human dignity that's been stripped from her, she's fine as a human being. She's never missed a beat in our conversations, Ashleigh, never. And we've talked about some complex things. She understands what's going on, and she just wants her life back. You said some great things on your intro. The basic human rights are stripped from her. I mean, she is not able to come and go as she pleases. Forget about controlling her finances and her medical decisions. She has less rights, I tell you, than a convicted felon under probation. And that to me is the scariest part of this whole thing. It really, really is.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I'm very concerned about the loss of her freedom based on the person that I've been talking with. I spent 2 or 3 hours in a restaurant at a table with Wendy and talked to her that entire time. She's not the same Wendy that she was several years ago, granted. She's a little changed. Right. However, I would, just from a very, ill-informed and non-expert view, would say that's not the kind of person that you strip of all your civil rights. I mean, not to be able to come and go. She has to get permission to go out for lunch. It's a little shocking. Who is it, do you think, has so-called leaked this report? And why do you think that this report is a fake?
So let me say this as clearly as possible, Ashleigh. This so-called medical report, this medical diagnosis being talked about, and that was leaked, illegally leaked, let me say that, about Wendy Williams is a lie. It's just a lie. The leak itself is a disgrace. It's not about medicine, it's about manipulation. It's a weapon being used by those who profit, I'll be quite blunt, profit from keeping Wendy under this abusive guardianship situation that's just neat. But this begs 2 questions. So here's my challenge. Where is this medical report that no one has seen? No one has seen. They talk about it in a letter. They leaked the fact that there was a diagnosis, which is a HIPAA violation. We know how serious that's supposed to be taken. But where is this report? No one's seen the report because it's not accurate. She hasn't completed her medical diagnosis. I've spoken to her guardianship attorneys. I understand exactly what's going on. She has not completed her medical diagnosis. So where's this report? Name the doctor, okay? Put him under oath. I want to see the doctor go under oath who will author and sign this report. And I'll be the one to cross-examine him. And I promise you, he won't come out of there intact if that's going to be his opinion. But yet we haven't seen it. We haven't seen a word about this report. We don't know who the doctor is. We don't know what the report says. We just know there was a leak, which again violates Wendy Williams' rights as a human being.
Well, listen, I'm down to 30 seconds, but it sounds to me like you're saying that Sabrina Morrissey, her guardian, is the person, or at least part of the problem, because that's the person who, in the industry, benefits and is paid as a guardian. Is that what you're saying, that her guardian is doing this?
Well, it's not Wendy doing it, right? It's not a stranger. So let's call a spade a spade. And I'm not afraid to accept responsibility for my words. Of course it's Sabrina Morrissey. Of course it's the guardian. Who else would leak? Who else would leak a finding that supports her position? And this comes down to, there's a whole side story here that we don't have time to get into. We needed a good hour, but it's an A&E lawsuit that was filed against A&E that Wendy wants no part of. But there's a lot of money to be made for some people, and that's being brought by the guardian.
Yeah, well, that's a hell of an industry, and the Britney Spears story taught a lot of people about the failings of the guardian community as well, and the industry itself. But you'll have to come back, because you're right, it is an hour. So I'm just going to book you now. Thanks for this, Joe. I appreciate it.
Okay, all right, Ashleigh. Thank you.
Always love having you. Joe Tacopina on with us tonight. And I called him a power attorney because he's a power attorney, folks. Coming up, I want you to try this one on for size. Bryan Kohberger, death penalty advocate. Can you imagine it? Well, we have the documents that seem to confirm it. But was that before or after he was facing the possibility of a firing squad? Brian Entin is here with the unsealed files next. You saw them here first last week, the newly unsealed records from the Idaho State Police investigation into that guy, quadruple murderer Bryan Kohberger. They're filled with interviews about that killer from classmates and colleagues and even cellmates from when he was locked up in the Latah County Jail. The file is a whopping 556 pages, and we're still actually combing through it, trying to understand what makes this monster who he is. But one topic in particular really stuck out, and that is his views on the death penalty. Because it seems that Bryan Kohberger, who was facing the firing squad himself, has been a passionate supporter of capital punishment in the past. I wonder if that changed when they slapped the cuffs on him 2.5 years ago for a quadruple murder in a death penalty state. Want to bring in NewsNation senior correspondent Brian Entin, who was the first person to get his hands on these documents last week. Brian Entin, where did we learn about this? How did this even come up that Coberger was a proponent of the death penalty?
Yeah, a lot of the documents, Ashleigh, were from Washington State University, interviews that the detectives had done with classmates and with faculty there. Most of them were disturbed by Bryan Kohberger. But in those documents, in one of the interviews, one of the classmates said that Bryan Kohberger strongly supported the death penalty. And there was actually this debate that happened in one of the classes where Bryan Kohberger was the only one in the class who vehemently supported the death penalty. All the other people were against it. And apparently he got angry. At one point, he even told this woman, like, imagine with your 12-year-old daughter how you would feel if she was raped and murdered, and sort of got nasty about the whole thing. The girl even told police later that she cried. That's how intense the conversation became. But apparently he was very clear that he supported the death penalty.
Yeah, but that changed pretty quickly when you realized they were retooling the firing squad chamber just for him in that state. Talk to me a little bit about the cellmate interviews. They were very informative of Coberger's behavior behind bars.
Yeah, there were two of them. The cellmate said, and they were people who were in the same pod as him, that he enjoyed watching TV, which we knew, but he liked watching TV and stories about himself. And he would say things like, wow, I'm on every channel. And that the only time he would change the channel is when topics came up about his family. Then he would change the channel. He said his favorite movie was American Psycho with Christian Bale, which, if you remember that movie, he always called Mother Father, which is the same thing that Bryan Kohberger referred to his parents as, would never say mom or dad, but mother, father. And then also that he used 3 standard size bars of soap every week to take hour-long showers, and that he would scrub his hands. Remember, he apparently has OCD, and that he would scrub his hands and be in the shower forever, which sort of connects back to that prison video that we've seen, the alleged prison video from where he is now at the state prison, where you can see that his hands are pretty red.
Yeah, I don't know if we can show that video real quickly. We've still been trying to authenticate it, but we can tell you definitively our sources in Pennsylvania at the state lockup as well as the county lockup said it's not Pennsylvania. Latah County, we have sources there who said it is not Latah County. Ada County put out a statement saying it's not Ada County, but Idaho Max said we're investigating it further, and they still haven't said whether that's one of the intake cells, maybe at Idaho Max. But yeah, big red hands right there. Brian, thank you. Brian Entin, appreciate it.
Thanks, Ash.
Coming up, yet another confounding picture of Lorie Valel, smiling ear to ear while being extradited back to the state where she's been given a life sentence, no parole, and leaving the state where she was handed 2 more life sentences. Why do you suppose she's smiling and doing a glamour pose? And by the way, this might just be the final time we're ever going to see or hear from this doomsday cult mom again. I'll tell you why next. Well, folks, she is back, not just in the headlines, back in Idaho. And I'm talking about the doomsday cult mom, Lorie Valel. Pictures for you. Here she is, early yesterday morning, all styled up and smiling for the cameras, as though she doesn't have a care in the world, which is weird, considering she's leaving the custody of Maricopa County and headed back to Idaho, where she's going to live out the rest of her miserable life in prison with no chance for parole. In July of 2023, she was handed 3 consecutive life sentences for the murders of her 2 children, Tylee and JJ, for conspiring to kill her 5th husband's wife, Tammy, as well. And last month, she was sentenced to an additional 2 life sentences in Arizona for conspiring to murder her estranged husband, Charles Valel, and for attempting to murder her niece's ex-husband, Brandon Boudreau. Who knows if she's got any other murders out there? But if you can believe it, this might be actually the last time we're ever going to see or hear from this monster, which is okay by me, so bye, Felicia. Okay, used to be Putting a little sugar in your ex-boyfriend's gas tank equaled a woman's fury that even hell did not have. But enter Stephanie Carlquist. Up next, what police say she did to her ex's car and why she is smiling ear to ear. Here is a hint and some new and creative ways to use glitter as just ahead. Could baby brain become the hot new criminal defense? Probably not, but one woman is blaming her pregnancy for an alleged attack on her ex-boyfriend's car. This is Stephanie Carlquist, all smiles in her mugshot. She's accused of pouring salt into her ex's fuel tank, putting glitter in the AC vent, that's clever, slashing a tire, cracking the windshield and a rearview mirror, and shattering the radio screen. It apparently added up to more than $12,000, which meant total write-off. Ms. Carlquist allegedly confessed everything to the tow truck driver, as well as her ex-boyfriend and her ex's mom. But then later, she walked back the confession a bit by saying that stress about her pregnancy made her crack the windshield and put glitter in the AC vents. But all that other damage, she says, well, that was because the car was overdue for an oil change. She's charged with felony criminal mischief, a mom-to-be who might just need a timeout herself. Quick tip, head to Drop Dead Serious, my podcast, because I have an in-depth interview with Scott Rouse, who's an expert in body language. We go over Rebecca and Jake Haro's television interviews and look at all the telltale signs that he sees, which say to him that they're not telling the truth about their baby being stolen by a stranger. It's the story of baby Emmanuel. Again, Scott Rouse is one of the top body language experts who's been trained by the military, by the FBI, and so it's fascinating to hear his read on that. Again, that's Drop Dead Serious, my podcast. I hope you'll go and check it out. In the meantime, you must stay tuned for Cuomo. He's next.